Post-Hypnotic Press presents an unabridged recording of You Can Be Right or You Can Be Married. Looking for Love in the Age of Divorce. By Dana Adam Shapiro. Narrated by Daniel Maté.
For Rachel, my big sister. It ought to make us feel ashamed when we talk like we know what we're talking about when we talk about love. Raymond Carver. Cowardice and courage are never without a measure of affectation, nor is love. Feelings are never true. They play with their mirrors. Jean Baudrillard. My wife is out of town. I don't want to cheat on her outright, but I would love to find someone to play around with. Maybe watch a porno or read an erotic story together, massage, striptease, lingerie modeling, take some pictures with your camera, mutual masturbation. Any other ideas? From the Casual Encounters listings on Craigslist. Introduction. My grandma keeps company with spirits. A doer's on the rocks every day at 4 o'clock on the button, and the spectral kind that rattle around her head. This isn't some crackpot theory. It's a matter of fact. They're here, now, passing through the walls of her old house on Cape Cod, where I've come to work on this book. For a long time, I thought it was a book about divorce, a bedside companion for the boo-hoo crowd, chicken soup for shattered souls. But while I may have set out to interview people about their most brutal breakups, I'm realizing now, almost 4 years in, that like most marital spats, it's never about what it's about. It wasn't always like this. Grandma's spirits, I mean. Only since my grandpa died, 16 years ago, a few months shy of their 50th wedding anniversary. We talk about it often, this great love of hers, and as we do, she sips her scotch, his drink, on her side of their bed. Still, always, on her side of their bed. "To my Howard," she says, toasting the ghost with his tumbler. That's what she calls him now, my Howard, sometimes right to his face. It's a much younger face than I remember, black and white and framed on their bedroom wall. Back when he was here, in color, she always called him Daddy. To hear her tell it, she never had eyes for another. It was beschert, she says, the Yiddish word for destiny. They were neighborhood kids from the same side of the tracks of Haverhill, Massachusetts, a factory town that was known back then as Queen Slipper City because local workers manufactured almost 10% of the shoes worn in the United States. But the Cinderella subtext wasn't lost on my Grandma Rose, whose name no doubt influenced the tint of her gaze. The first of 8 children born to Russian immigrants in 1915, her head has been bumping up against the clouds ever since she could crawl. Where others saw dust, she found glitter, and she came of age air-trumpeting to Cole Porter, daydreaming of a trip to the moon on gossamer wings. And, sure enough, as if her destiny had been written in calligraphy, she awoke one day in her teens to find that the love of her life was living just down the road. My Howard. "I got a car when I was 16 years old. It was a convertible," she tells me. "And for my first ride, I went out looking for him. I wanted to show off a little. He was always very standoffish when it came to me, but I used to run after him a little bit, I really did. So I put on my hat, and I looked very nice, and I drove by this place where all the boys used to hang around, and sure enough, there he was. I knew he'd be there. And I asked him, 'Would you like to go for a ride with me?' And he said, 'No, I'm busy.' Just like that, I'm busy. Well,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?